how often do you get annoyed with answering the balance in the Force? Like, just nonsense.
You know what? I used to get annoyed on the daily, but I answer it genuinely, thinking that that person has not seen the videos, or that person is watching a video that is factually incorrect, and I just gotta keep doing it. I just gotta reach a volume where at least the majority of people are now on the same wavelength.
Yeah, the world needs to know what balance truly is. From a galaxy not too far from here, this is Going Rogue. I am Andrew DiMolanta. Thank you so much for joining us on our continuous Road 2 celebration. Last week we had Alex and Molly Damon on. Thank you so much for them for coming on. But today I am joined by someone that changed my perspective on balance in the Force. I never thought I'd say that. I found him on TikTok. We connected and we started going back and forth. He was schooling me on all of his knowledge. I thought I knew a lot about Star Wars, but this guy puts me to shame sometimes. It makes my brain feel real small. So it is Element 7. Thank you for joining me, man.
Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. And you're kind of like overselling the knowledge. Like, I didn't really school you. So like there's a difference between like trivia people and like the people who study the lore and stuff. So like you could probably mollywop me in Star Wars trivia, but all I'm concerned about is lore accuracy and like the interpretation of the lore, and that's all. I don't profess to know everything about Star Wars.
Yeah, we had that conversation when I was on Dyad with you and Chaco. It's like, there's different ways to know Star Wars. I know there's people that are actually in this trivia show that I'm a part of that they talk about Star Wars every week. Ken Knapsack, Joseph Scrimshaw, the guys from Resistance Broadcast actually made their way in last season. And they're like, it's a different muscle. Like, you can talk about Star Wars all day long. But once you get into the ring, and it's like, wait, who plays that? So it's definitely different ways of knowing Star Wars. And I've just leaned more towards the trivia aspect of it in the past 3 years. So
yeah, for sure. Like, if you asked me like actor names and behind the scenes stuff, I would like have to be silent for like 20 minutes before I say, I don't know. I believe I did a trivia a year ago where one of the questions was like about Darth Vader's behind the scenes stuff. And like, it took me like 30 seconds to finally be like, oh wait, it was like David Prose, like, it's stuff that I don't typically study. So
usually for these episodes, we're going to get into celebration talk because that's why we're here. It's the Road to Celebration. The whole point of this series is to reconnect with old friends that I've met through different medias and obviously through the Schmodown, but also to connect with newer friends like you and people I've met through TikTok. So I wanted to just get to know, because I don't want to like show up at Celebration and be like, hey, you know what I mean? It'd be awkward. I want to get to know new people that I've met and usually interact with them for like the most part, interact with on a daily basis through the app. Really, like what we want to start off with is where does your Star Wars journey begin? How did you get into the franchise? Who introduced you to it?
I don't remember when it exactly began, but my brother is the one that introduced it to me via the VHS of A New Hope, and then Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. I think it was Empire Strikes Back was the one that kind of really propelled me into the world of world building and fantasy. Like, of course, I'd seen things like Willow and Legend with Tom Cruise in it, and we'd watched fantasy before, but nothing really struck a chord with me until Obi-Wan said in A New Hope, "It's as if a million voices cried out and suddenly vanished." And I was like, well, what is this all of a sudden? Like, what's he sensing? And then we got to Empire Strikes Back and met Yoda, and the world grew exponentially from there. And I started thinking about the Force, and as we all do, we started trying to use it on our remotes. But then it just kind of spiraled upward from there. And I guess I've been part of the Star Wars journey for 30 years. So I'm 36, so yeah, it was around that age that I had watched it. Um, the first Star Wars theater experience was the Phantom Menace, and that was an absolute blast. Um, I've been with Star Wars ever since.
Yeah. I asked Molly and Damon and Alex Damon this last week. Do you ever miss the waiting in lines for movie tickets and for obviously it's digital now. Like we have to like I told you guys like when Force Awakens came out, I had like 3 laptops in front of me, like hitting refresh, just because every year we would go with me and like 10 other friends. We'd take up an entire row of seats because I'd buy as many tickets as I could. And we do that. And for the last time I remember doing that was for Force Awakens. We had to wait in line for our seats because after that it was assigned seating, like every year. So do you ever miss that? Like just that feeling of like, no.
I mean, so my relationship with waiting in lines is like that of snow. Like I grew up in the Bronx in New Jersey and I come from there and then I moved to California 2006. So my relationship with snow is that I love snow. I enjoy playing in it. But when it comes to driving in it and shoveling it, that's where I draw the line. And so in terms of waiting in line, it's like the anticipation, the hype, and the fact that you can share that with so many people is breathtaking. It's compelling. But at the same time, you're like, I just want to like go in there.
Yeah.
And like the state of movie theaters today, and this is aside from like, the pandemic and stuff, but
yeah,
the state of movie theaters is reserved seating and you get your tickets and then you go in and you have your experience. So I think more recently the theater going experience has largely happened in the theater versus in the lines.
In the hallways. Yeah. It's like looking at it in a mirror because I lived when I was introduced to Star Wars, I lived in Washington State at the time. So snow days was basically Star Wars Day for Andrew. And like I tell my wife all the time, she's like, oh, she's only seen snow like twice in her life. And she's like, oh man, it must be so much fun. It's like, yeah, it's great to visit. But then the shoveling and the, putting the chains on the car tires and make sure I always joke, we always try to like, because we lived on a hill and I was like, are we going to make it up the hill this time? And we didn't have to be to park the car at the bottom of the hill and then walk up. And we hated walking up the snow. Get into the celebration talk. How many celebrations have you been to? Is this your first one, or have you?
This will be my first one, actually. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
As much as I've been a Star Wars fan, and as much as I am like a quote unquote lore master, I haven't been to Galaxy's Edge. Neither has Jocko, which is the other half of my dyad. He has been to Celebration 2015. I think that was the Force Awakens one.
Yeah, that was back in Anaheim.
So like, it's always been like it's like a pain point for me that I haven't really participated in the fandom as much as others have. So this will be the first time, and this is also the first time that I actually have like a social media presence of like doing things as well. So it's I guess it's the 5-year span of firsts.
I've said it to everybody that if it like the first time, I'm envious of people of their first time of anything, especially if it's watching Star Wars. Like we all have that experience with like the newer stuff that's coming out, like with Boba Fett and like Mandalorian, with Obi-Wan coming out the day before Celebration. It's like that excitement's there, but like I'm envious of the people that have never seen Star Wars. Like I wish I can go back and experience that again, because like the last time I did that, I saw that. With somebody that's my age as my wife. My wife's first theatrical experience for Star Wars was Force Awakens, and then it just
that's awesome.
Yeah. So because when we were dating, she's like, I know about Darth Vader. Yeah, he's like Luke's daddy. Yeah, okay. And I joke,
which is odd because you get all these stories of people experiencing it for the first time. Like, how do they, when they get to that part, how do they have that reaction? Like, how do they like avoid the spoilers for so long?
Yeah,
maybe of course it was just like willingly they were just like, I don't care about Star Wars, so they kind of shut out those details that have been talked about in like memedom and all of fandom. But it's crazy seeing someone's first time.
Yeah, it's awesome. But like there's nothing like Celebration. I've been to a couple of other things. I went to it was MegaCon out in Orlando. I think it was 2016, and it was cool. And it's like there's a couple Star Wars things here and there. There's other than Star Wars, I like Marvel, so I was like, oh, there's a bunch of Marvel cosplayers all over the place. But then I got to Celebration Orlando was my first one, and it was a huge just like experience, like that camaraderie, that immediate connection with everybody was just so magical. Because I've yet to meet those. We both are fully aware of the toxic fans that are out there on social media. I've yet to meet one of those at Star Wars Celebration.
I'd imagine that they draw the line at spending upwards of hundreds of dollars to express their hatred.
Yeah, because like you bump into people and it's like, oh, I don't like the sequels as much, people don't, but then you end up talking about the prequels, or you go talk about the originals or Clone Wars or whatever, or their cosplay or anything like that. So it's always something that I told this story when it was in Chicago. I went for Celebration Chicago. I couldn't get into the big which one movie was it? It was Rise of Skywalker panel. Couldn't get into that one. So I ended up sitting in the hallway with my wife watching the panel on a tablet. This girl comes walking by, and she couldn't get in the panel either, and her phone died. She's like, "Oh, do you mind if I watch the panel with you?" Never met this person. And we're like, "Sure, go ahead." And it's like I said, it's an immediate like connection with somebody. They like, you don't mind some stranger coming up and watching something with you for an hour in a hallway, like with your tablet on a bench. So it's just that feeling of being around fans that love it as much as you do, that I really, really enjoy Celebration for. So
this is looking to be one of like the most memorable and unique first times for me, because it's not my first, like, you know, I've been to anime cons, I've been to E3, and because I'm in the industry, I've been to GDC, and all of those conventions and trade shows are tame because they serve a particular purpose. Anime cons can be you know, a little on the rowdy side as well, but like I imagine, because we did put in an application for the podcast stage as well for Diet and the Force, so if it ends up being my first celebration where I, you know, broadcast live from the podcast stage for the first time as well, it's going to be crazy, and my anxiety is going to go through the roof.
Speaking of like panels, like, are there any like other panels like you're excited to get? Obviously, like the big main, we haven't been announced what ones we're getting yet. Are you looking forward to like seeing any of the smaller panels while you're there?
Help me out here, since you've been there before. What typically is like the panels that they do have aside from like the main stage?
Yeah, so the main stage is obviously always like the big things. Like it's been like the movies, this like the TV series, Clone Wars has been big, Rebels has been big back then. Obviously the movies that are on the main stage. There's always like one big panel every day on the main stage. But then there's the smaller ones that I always like try to seek out. I went to the book panels. They had all the authors from those ones I really enjoyed, because I remember one year I went, and what was it? Timothy Zahn's first Thrawn, the canon one. The first Thrawn novel had just come out, and Timothy Zahn was there. Chuck Wendig was there. All like, I think there's like 5 to 6 other authors were all there. I'm like, this is awesome. They're all just talking about, you know, their books and stuff, and they're giving something away. And it's like, all right, look under your seat. If you have Timothy Zahn's card under your seat, you get a free signed copy of Thrawn. And I was like, oh. I was one seat off. I was like,
oh, dang.
No.
That must have been rough.
But it was just stuff like that. There was another one, like there was the Cantina scene with Pablo Hidalgo. He went over just stuff that I really enjoyed watching, like the tertiary characters in the back. This is the person's name. This is who played them, and stuff like that. Just small little like panels like that I like to try to get into. But I think this year, again, I think they're doing like a lottery system, because they introduced that in Chicago. That was, I think, everybody that I talked to really likes the lottery system, because you don't have to wait overnight for wristbands to get into the panel the very next day. So you probably enjoy that. No lines. Well, less lines. They're still waiting in line, but like it's all done through the app. I would recommend like maybe getting familiar with the app before you head over there, because it was a little clunky to get through.
I think they did something similar with the most recent E3 too, where a lot of like the lines to play games was handled through, like, you would sign up on the app, and then it would just give you a notification that your seat is available, and then you had like a time limit to get there, and then get through your session and then leave. And so there wasn't like big lines. I think it was the first E3 that they had done amidst like the scare or the pandemic. So I mean, if it's anything similar to that, I'm all for it. Like, just kind of sign up for the ones you like, and then you'll the app will handle everything else.
Yeah, and you can plan your day out too. I think that was another big like plus, because like if you got into one of the bigger panels, like, all right, I got to rush to get to this other panel, and then the line would be around the block for the other panel you get to. It's like, well, I missed out on my opportunity. With this one, you just have to reserve your seat and then head over there. It just depends on how early you get there. Then if you don't get there early enough, then you get a bad seat. That's the downfall. But they've been running it pretty seamlessly for the past like couple that I've been to, because the Orlando celebration was like, I was absolute newbie to cons. Like it was my first like full blown con that I ever went to, and I was like a little overwhelmed. Like I was really green, so I was standing in line for one with Dave Filoni, and they're like, "Where's your wristband?" I'm like, "What wristband?" It's like, "You're supposed to wait overnight and get your wristband." I'm like, "Oh, I don't have that." It's like, "Well, you can't get them in."
I think one of the panels that I would love to go to, if they do have one, is one with Filoni and the story group, and kind of talking about the lore.
Yeah, I think I think that they did have one last time, and I just couldn't get into it because it was just, the day is like so jam packed full of things, so you can lose yourself. Like I'll take like one day just to wander the floor and talk to people about their cosplay and stuff. Like I did that one year in Orlando. I interviewed a bunch of like cosplay people, like how long did it take you to do this, how many pieces and stuff like that. And I am dressing up this year, because it's been a while since we had a celebration, and I bailed on the last one that I had planned. So I was like, I have to make up for that and go and dress up at least 2 days. I have two cosplays planned for that. And if you're familiar with my TikTok page, you know exactly which ones they are. So
yeah.
I'm
bringing my Jedi robes too. I will be going as the token Asian Jedi. Whichever one exists is canon.
Yeah, you'll have one more there with you. I mean, just depends on which day you go as and dress up, because that's another thing you got to plan out. I've learned with talking to other cosplayers, like plan out which days you want to go, because I think that's a big reason why I didn't do my cosplay last time. Was I spent the first full day there. I'm like, God, this is a lot. Do I want to be in this outfit all day long this next day? And I think that's why I bailed on it. But
you might have to like bring a bag of holding so that you can change out of it.
That's one thing. And it also depends on because I might be on a couple of panels depending on what day they are. So I can, especially for one of them, I can't be in full Jedi garb or Han Solo outfit. Maybe it might play into it, but do you ever see yourself going to Galaxy's Edge in the near future?
It's a requirement at this point. Like I'm like poked and prodded in the community all the time for, like, we have people going there daily, sometimes people in Florida who are just going to Disney World like every week, and it's like it's almost a meme at this point, or a running gag, that me and Chaco have never been to Galaxy's Edge. We're like, big Star Wars fans and haven't been there before, so it's definitely on our list, especially as the Dyad. We plan to take a trip to Galaxy's Edge, and possibly do a live from there. Like a lot of things are like framed in this social media thing now, which is odd. Like before this all happened, I would have gone and not really worried about what I would do in terms of content. But now we have to think about that, looking at your videos and looking at your backgrounds and stuff like that, you seem to be a bit of a collector. Are you looking to get any kind of like special merch while you're there, or have you spent enough money already on the tickets? And because it's not like you have to fly out there like I have to. Like I just booked our hotel and flight, and it's like, oh God, I already spent enough money. I'm not a huge collector. I do get things that speak to me. Like I have my Vegeta statue. I have Grogu and all of these stand-ins or standees, and then I have a celebration art that was done by Dark Ink, I think. But like, I don't typically go out there and just collect everything of a thing. It's just something that is whether I like it or not. So if I'm there, I'm probably gonna get some Yoda merch for sure, because Yoda is my favorite character and everyone calls me Yoda. So when I get there and I see the merch, I don't know, maybe 30 plus people will come up to me and just be like, looking. And I'm just like, yeah.
Yeah, it depends on what type, like, because like you can wander the showroom floor, which like there's private vendors there. There might be a couple of people that I follow on TikTok that might be there selling their stuff, which I'm excited to do. But then there's the exclusive merch store, which you have to wait. Like you have to get there super early to get in, because I think that's the one thing that you can't reserve on the app is getting into the exclusive store. I've never been able to get in. And but
is that the store that they have on the website right now, or that's
yes
just Celebration that you can order?
Yes and no. So there's the exclusive digital store that you can get in, I believe, and then there's the stuff that they're gonna be selling only at Celebration. So you got to like wait in line to get into the store. There was one year that I wanted to get in, but I couldn't. They're selling the Lando shirt from Solo, the pattern that he's wearing at the end of the show or at the movie, and then it's like a button-up shirt that had that pattern. I'm like, oh, I want one, and I was never able to get in. But
what about the cape?
A cape? I don't know.
Gotta give it a try.
Yeah. I'm gonna try it, just depending on like how early I have to get there and what actually is going to be sold. Because like I said, I have already spent far too much money on this trip, because, you know, flight from Orlando to there. And then I've been spending money on my cosplay. I'm still waiting for a couple pieces to come in. My wife is killing me. She's like, how much was that? It's not as much as you think. I'm very, very thrifty with my cosplay shopping.
It's definitely an investment. Yeah. I count myself fortunate for being here in the vicinity of Anaheim that I could just drive down. So, I mean, my thoughts are with you on that one.
I'm also trying to figure out like, how am I going to pack all this stuff? Because like 2 outfits, are they going to? Because I got a 3D printed DL44. I'm like, are they going to stop me for that thing? Is TSA going to like, what's that? So I'm trying to like figure out how I'm going to get it all there. Do I like just not bring the blaster, or it's just all this kind of stuff that I'm thinking that I'm not, and like, how am I going to fit my lightsaber blade in my luggage? It's just like logistical things like that. And I'm trying to think of how I'm going to do it. So, because it was very convenient when it was in Orlando. It's like, oh, I can just, because like when we were there, I just drive out there to the convention center and spend all day there. My wife's like, I'm going to go home. So it's like, all right, I'll see you at dinner. So I spent all day by myself in lines. So it's very convenient, but she's come around on that. But speaking of like the Jedi cosplay, so you said you were going to dress up at least one day, because I'm trying to plan my stuff. Like I said, I'm trying to plan stuff around, like, so we can like take pictures with everybody that I've met online and stuff.
Yeah, I'm not sure when everyone is planning to dress up. I guess I mean we're gonna have to invite you to the Celebration server that we have, where everyone's kind of planning things. There's a cosplay channel that we can, you know, discuss when everyone's gonna meet up and be dressed up. But I definitely don't plan to be there to be dressed up more than one day. I think it's enough.
Yeah,
we'll see. It's something that we play by ear.
So speaking of like, just because you said like your social media has really influenced like how much like you're diving into Star Wars now. Like you said, like from what I hear, it's like this, because I found you this like last year, or was it last year or this year? I think it was last year.
It might have been like last year, as in like maybe a couple months.
Yeah, like
November,
November, December, like the latter half of the year. Like, how long has that been going? Like, is it something that you just like really super got into in the past couple of years, or was it something that you've been trying to get through? Because I've been on YouTube since 2013 and never took off. I used to review movies on this channel, and I try to do a bunch of like short stuff. Like TikTok has really like been the most successful platform I've been a part of. I've never reached as many followers as quickly as I had on any other platform but TikTok.
It's been going for a while. I have the same story as you. I've been on YouTube for how many? I haven't counted the years, since maybe like 2013, 2014. I was on there, and I started, you know, reacting to and covering and breaking down like Rebels episodes, Game of Thrones, Walking Dead. You know, I started pretty broad in terms of pop culture, and I reviewed Star Wars stuff too, and the movies, and I point to this every time someone thinks that I'm like shifting or shilling. Is that no, you can see my day one review of The Last Jedi. I absolutely loved it, and I called it the best thing since Empire Strikes Back, and this is a view that I've held since I saw it, and it's not something that I've shifted for clout or popularity. I think in terms of like the proliferation of my social media presence, it's been the last 2 years. I think it propelled. We were in the pandemic for sure. I had posted my first couple of videos that winter, before it started, and then we were in the thick of it, and from 10,000 to 20,000 to 30,000 over a couple of weeks, and then the next couple of months, 80 to 100, and then by the time it was maybe 10 to 12 months into my first year, I was at 130. So it's kind of grown really fast in a short amount of time. I consider 2 years a short amount of time in terms of like social media influence.
Yeah.
So I've been trying to kind of transition, or at least funnel people from TikTok to YouTube, and trying to make it like a broader brand. I'm trying to make Dyad a brand, with Choco. I'm hoping in the future we have a bigger presence with Lucasfilm, and Dyad and the Force is as big as, like the Schmodown or something like that, because we're imagining like the Dyad Studios, where we have a whole bunch of shows, and we're liberally taking inspiration from Geek and Sundry and all of these brands that have different little things that they do, but that's the end game. So this definitely happened really, really fast, and yes, it did kind of propel me to participate more in the fandom, not just speaking about Star Wars, but participating in the celebration and stuff.
Yeah. Do you find like that struggle? Because like I've noticed that like a lot of my original stuff on like TikTok and stuff doesn't do as well as what made me popular with most with the 2,000 people that follow me. It's like every time it's like I'll be following, it's like, God, this guy's got like close to 200,000, and I'm stuck right below 3. I'm close to 3,000 right now. So it's like like every time I tell myself that, like I always talk to like other people that have a big following. They're like, imagine a room full of 1,000 people. That's a lot of people. So it's like I always have to constantly remind myself, like 2,000 people is a lot of people that like your stuff. So
it's not a small number.
Yes.
And as someone with the amount that I have, there are people with millions.
Yeah.
And that like in and of itself is a gap that you can't fathom.
Yeah. But do you ever find yourself thinking like, why do people like why is it that people like the shorter form content, and rather than, because like the longer form, like things like this, like podcasting does better on YouTube for me than does the short things, and vice versa for TikTok. The short, like funny little joke things seem to do really well, but the original like Star Wars commentary stuff on my page doesn't do nearly as well. Do you ever find yourself like struggling, like trying to figure out that puzzle ever?
I think the only puzzle I'm trying to figure out is why more people aren't funneling into my YouTube. I could probably kind of take a guess as to why that might be. Like TikTok isn't pushing the videos that I'm promoting YouTube on, like for the For You page. But for the most part, I think I've realized that there's different forms of consumption. They're different platforms. Obviously, they're different platforms, but in the case of TikTok, it is not an opt-in system. You open up TikTok. You're either on the following page or the For You page, and you're just scrolling through, and you're hitting every single video that you come across, and that's one view, no matter what. Now, what determines if that video does well is if you stick around and watch the whole video and you like and engage, but you're more or less just hitting all of those videos. Whereas on YouTube, it is an opt-in. So you post a video, even if someone's subscribed to you, they have to look at their subscription feed and click into the video. So when you're following someone on TikTok, you'll scroll through and hit their video no matter at some
what
point.
Yeah.
But then it reaches kind of like this critical mass where you're following like 2,000 people. And are you going to scroll through 2,000 videos until you reach every single person you're following? And that's why some videos don't do well. Sometimes you will disappear from someone who's following you. Like I'm sure you've gotten a comment or two, or maybe in your time on doing TikTok, someone has said, I haven't seen you in a while. Mm-hmm. And I'm just like, well, I've been here. I've been doing these videos every day. So yeah, I think there's a certain quality of subscriber on YouTube and a quality of follower on TikTok, where the followers on TikTok will see your videos and they will scroll through the videos. They don't have to opt in on it. But then the quality of the follower is someone who's following like 5,000 other people, creators, and then that creates like, what's the frequency with which they're going to land on your videos? Like they now have 5,000 different people to scroll through.
Who are your go-to like no pressure on saying certain names, obviously, but who are your like go-to like staying within like the Star Wars community that we've built on the platform? Like who are like your go-to, like if I don't see this person today?
Every day that I open TikTok, I have to check what Choco has done, because there's huge overlap with what we do. And 9 times out of 10, we will have done the same video because our audience is asking the same questions and we're answering the same questions. So I always check what he's done, especially after I've posted mine, and then I check and see if the dyad is still strong. And we're talking about the same wavelength.
Stuff. Yeah.
I don't know if there's anyone that like I really like watch religiously on TikTok, to be honest, because when I open up TikTok and I go through my following feed, I just enjoy watching everyone that I scroll through. I don't have a particular person that I search out and be like, I have to watch their content, which might, hurt some feelings. Like I don't check up with a lot of people, but this is a large community, and this is the first time I'm part of a community where, for the large part, everyone is a creator, right?
Yeah.
So most of the time, you're an influencer, or you're a creator, and you have an audience, and you talk to that audience. But when everyone else is a creator, you're trying to keep up with everything else that everyone's creating. So if I follow that person and I'm liking their videos, I'm enjoying their content. It's not to say that I'm not searching out people or I'm not interested in their videos. It's just that I enjoy all of the videos that I see that come across my feed, and you will know if I like it.
It's a very civil answer. I'll accept it. But how often do you get annoyed with answering the balance in the Force? Like, just nonsense, because like there's been several times where, like I said, like when you'll show up on my feed and it's like he's answering this question again, or he's having to explain it again. Like how often do you like just like, I don't want to do this video again? You just go to my page and just like point at a screenshot. It's like, watch this video. Do you ever get annoyed at that?
I used to get annoyed on the daily, but there came a point in time where I accepted the fact that no matter how many people saw a video, not everyone has seen it. Like so I have a video that's showing that Count Dooku did have Sith eyes. If you search all across Google, you'll see a lot of people believe that Count Dooku never had Sith eyes, and it's like this argument that they use to kind of argue that Count Dooku wasn't fully consumed by the dark side. Just another one of those gray Jedi things that pop up every once in a while. But no, he had Sith eyes, and I think that one is close to 800,000 views. And
I wish I had those numbers.
I mean, but then like you think about it, and that's barely a drop in the pond in terms of like 7 billion people, and especially the fandom of Star Wars. So there's going to be at least a couple more million that haven't seen that video and still think that he doesn't have Sith eyes. So when it comes to balance in the Force, I answer it genuinely, thinking that that person has not seen the videos, or that person is watching a video that is factually incorrect. And there are people who make factually incorrect videos because, a lot of lore is jumbled with legends, continuity, and some people I'm not going to name names, but some people make videos that say, "Hey, the Jedi kidnap children," but they really don't. And it's the difference between people believing that stuff versus people coming back and saying, "Hey, here is the citation from where I come from. This is where the information comes from." And I just gotta keep doing it. I just gotta, reach a volume where at least the majority of people are now on the same wavelength.
Yeah, the world needs to know what balance truly is. Do you think it has? Because I actually responded to one of your videos about this. I think this is really when we connected on the app. Was that I think the root of the problem or the issue is the word itself, balance. We hear the word balance, and it's like, oh, equal parts of something. And I think, what if not the word balance? I think I actually asked you this, like, what words would you use instead of balance?
I think you thought of this, or someone had a comment on your video. I like harmony.
Yeah, I think that's what I said.
I like tranquility. I also like well, it's all about flow for me. So I'd have to find something that kind of exemplifies freedom of movement and unrestricted things. But I understand why Lucas used balance, because there is the natural cycle, there is the balance between life and death, but death of course isn't in equal parts to life, otherwise populations wouldn't increase and proliferate. So life does exist. It does flourish amidst the balance with death, but it's not an equal balance. And so, but of course, the major or the majority people think balance is equal parts. So that is creating some kind of confusion. But if we were to go forward from today and call it harmony in the Force, I wouldn't be mad about it.
Yeah. So it's just to steer back to Celebration, just before we close out this episode. Are there any like big announcements that you're looking forward to? Because they always drop something huge on us in Celebration. I've been hearing things like an animated show is coming around the corner, which they had been hinting at, that people have been speculating like, oh, a Skywalker animated show I've heard here and there. But like, is there anything that you want to hear about?
There's a lot of things I would like to hear about. Not the least of which is possibly confirmed casting for Ahsoka.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe a confirmed Mena Massoud, because I really like that casting for Ezra. A confirmed Lars Mikkelsen for Thrawn.
That would be great.
And I think we're due for maybe an animated show or a show set in the High Republic. I think after phase 1, how successful that's been and that world that they've built.
Yeah.
I think it doesn't necessarily have to be an adaptation either. It could be in the era with some of the characters that we're familiar with, just the story is original. So that's like, I think the High Republic is the one thing, because outside of the Old Republic, it's my favorite era now in Star Wars. So I think that's the one thing that I want new content from, is the High Republic.
Yeah, that's gonna be cool. So aside from news and all that, what are you looking forward to most at Celebration? Like, just if you were to describe, like, I really hope that this happens, or something like of the nature, like, what are you looking forward to when May 26th comes and you're walking the floor? Like, what are you looking forward to?
Probably, I don't think we're going to get a trailer, but maybe a trailer for Rogue Squadron. I don't know. Is it in principle? I don't think it's in principle.
It got delayed. I had this conversation last week with and it was like, oh, it was supposed to come out next year, and it was supposed to be filming this year. It's going to get pushed back again, because they were supposed to be in principal production this year, and they haven't even started filming. You're going to tell me it's going to come out next year? Not going to happen. It's going to get delayed. I would say give it, like, if Patty Jenkins doesn't have the time to do it, give Bryce Dallas Howard the reins. Every episode that she's directed, I'm like, especially with like spacecraft flying, like, that looks awesome. The choices that she's making is fantastic. Give her the rings. Get whatever you have. Just let her take over, because she's been really impressing me with what she's been able to do with Mando and Boba Fett. So
yeah, she hasn't missed.
Yeah, it's been great. So
I mean, I would accept a title and a premise for Taika Waititi's Star Wars.
Oh yeah, that's right. Forgot about that.
Because, like, I've been saying for the longest time, the treatment of that logo that they revealed at Investors Day looks prehistoric, and just screams Dawn of the Jedi to me. And so, like, as much as I want a High Republic story, if it's like a one-off movie about the beginnings of the Force, I'm all about that.
That'd be great. I think we'll go ahead and wrap up this episode here. Thank you so much for joining me, man. It's been great to get to know you through TikTok, but to actually sit down and talk with you about, everything is awesome. And I hope we can do it in person when we finally do meet each other in person. I think that's what I'm looking forward to the most, is just connecting with people again, old friends and new ones. So
absolutely,
it's going to be great. So thank
you for having me. I'm also looking forward to speaking to everyone at Star Wars Celebration. This is going to be the first time, like, I've hung out with a lot of people, Chaco, Barikwa Wookie, if you know them on TikTok, and Chrysanthi, who does Star Wars Music Minute. But it'll be my first time meeting up with a whole bunch of people who started off as followers for me, and then turned into mutuals, and then now are a vibrant community of family members.
Nice. Yeah. So if you guys are not familiar with Element 7, where can they find you online, like your YouTube page and all your socials?
You can find me on TikTok at _Element7_, Twitter, same thing, _Element7_, Instagram _Element7__, gang. If you're not part of the underscore gang, you're horrible. I'm just kidding. And then of course on YouTube, .com/Element7S, or you could just go to seventhelement.net/YouTube to find me. Yeah. Element 7 was taken. Sorry.
I remember you telling me, like, you try to emphasize the underscore, the Element 7.
7S.
Yeah. So,
or you could just type it in the search box to Element 7.
Yeah, that's awesome. Go check out everything he does. It's highly informative and educational, especially as a lifelong Star Wars fan. I'm surprised at some of the things I learned browsing your page. So it's fantastic stuff. As for me, you guys, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Drew DiMalanta, DIMALANT, on TikTok at Rogue Leader Drew. Regular Rogue Leader was taken, so I had to add on the Drew there. Please, if you're listening to this on audio form, please follow, feed, and rate us. And if you're watching on YouTube, like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell notification in the lower right-hand corner to see when we do things. On every Monday, it's Beyond the Schmodown. Sometimes on Fridays, we have been very, very bad about doing Radcast, so we'll try to get back on that track. But it's going to be busier now that I'm interviewing a bunch of Star Wars friends. So thank you again for everybody for joining us on this episode of Going Rogue. We'll see you next time. May the Force be with you always.